Hi, everyone. It's very nice to see all of you here. My name is Larry Ibrahim. I'm the coordinator for Arctic Frontiers Young. And today we have our Arctic Career Seminar. We are organizing this program in line with the Arctic Innovation Week. And so we have invited speakers from different sectors of the Arctic economy to speak with us as students and to also share their perspectives on what the world of work looks like and what is expected of us as innovators and as students who also want to move and do some changes within the Arctic landscape. Without talking too much, I would want to introduce and invite the moderator for today's program. She is Fredrickson, our new executive director. Until recently, she was the director for the Arctic Economic Council. And before then, she had worked with the Embassy of Finland in Oslo. And we are really happy to have her. This will be her first public appearance on the big program. And it's about the youth. So it shows how passionate she is to be with us here. So without much ado, I would like to welcome Anu Fredrickson on stage.
Thank you. Thank you, Larry. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure to have you here with us today. Arctic Frontiers, my job at the Arctic Frontiers is about building bridges, bringing together science, policy, and business for the betterment of the Arctic. I was myself born and raised in the high north of Finland, in a town called Oulu, which is the mecca of engineering. I'm a daughter of an engineer, and I'm also a sister of an engineer. Growing up, I could not get out of there fast enough. Finally, at the age of 17, I left to the United States. Now, as the more grown-up version of me wishes that at that stage, I had known more about the opportunities that existed in my hometown. Who knows, maybe the outcome might have been different. Therefore, on a personal level as well, it is a great pleasure for me to work with the Arctic Frontiers Young Portfolio. We want to show you the future opportunities in this place we call home. But we also want to make the Arctic attractive to future generations. And we want to build bridges between future decision makers and leaders and the business community. Tonight's event is organized in collaboration with the University of Tromsø, the Arctic University of Norway. And the event will be streamed. I warmly welcome all of our followers across the globe. We have a slight change in the program. Unfortunately, Emil Bremnes of Nofima had to call in sick. But we are very pleased to have with us Teresa Christiansen from Ksat, Kongsberg Satellite Services. Now, without any further delay, I'd like to start the program. Our first speaker works for a company here in Tromsø called Aquaplan Niva. Aquaplan Niva integrates research, decision-making support, and technical innovation. The aim of the company is to secure economic value and safe environmental operations for businesses and authorities. Their operating field covers all places watery. Luca Tassara is a marine biologist focused on marine ecology. He is currently involved in the collection of ocean data on marine mammals using unmanned autonomous vehicles. And in his work with the autonomous vehicles, Luca also works with machine learning, which is a subset of artificial intelligence. Luca, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone that came here today, and thank you for everyone that is watching from home or from the office. So today what I'm going to give you is a small presentation and an introduction about what we do at Aquaplan and how innovation is affecting our work and what we can do even more. So the agenda is this. So my company, I will give you a brief introduction, and I will try to give you also a good example of how innovation can help. In my case, marine research, marine biology, geology, physics, and so on. So what is Aquaplan? Well, Aquaplan, as mentioned before, is a consultancy and research company. And we are owned by NIVA, and we have the headquarters, laboratories, and offices here in Tromsø. They're in France Center, just across the street from here. And we also have offices around Norway, like Oslo, Bergen, and Trondheim, Bodø, Alta, and we have offices in Iceland. It's a quite multinational environment and quite rich of culture. We are around 135 employees, which makes us medium size, probably. And we had a revenue last year of around 190 million krona. And here you can see what we do in research or consultancy. We can help with biodiversity, ecology, ecotoxicology, so the study of the toxicants and pollutants in the ecosystem. We also check the environment and check the effect of petroleum, the oil. And we also help with the oceanography, and we help also with aquaculture, how to optimize production and keep the fish in good health. But now I will give you the example about what I do, so what I know the best. When we go, for example, to the Arctic to collect data, so observation and see how the environment is doing, the traditional survey methods are using a boat, like a research vessel. In that case, you can see up on the top picture is Herman Halsen, on a research vessel owned by the University of Tromsø. And it's a very nice picture, but there are, this way of collecting data are extremely efficient and effective. But there are still some things that can be improved, and there are still some cons. A con that you can see on the large picture where two men are moving a gigantic tool is that with traditional survey, usually you need a crew and you need operators on the boat. So you need to have many people, and that can pump up the cost of an expedition to the Arctic. And the second picture is actually pollution. It's hard to believe, but that's light pollution that can affect the behavior and the environment can affect the behavior of organisms in the Arctic and can also affect the environment. And another thing that I wanted to add, since it's something that I'm working with, is noise pollution. Sometimes we don't think about that, but every ship produces noise that can interfere with the biological organisms. And of course, there is CO2 emissions. Yeah, of course, for research, we don't tend to be one of the major pollutants, but still, even doing the good for the environment, we create some pollution, we perturbate the environment. So we were thinking how we can innovate, how we can best even these traditional methods that we use. And well, there is an answer for that we're trying to pursue, which is robotics and automation. And I introduce you to a big project led by Aquaplan, which is the Glider project, where we use these unmanned autonomous vehicles that are basically robots that are going to the ocean collecting data. And there are many advantages of using this. First of all, you reduce the cost a lot because these are quite autonomous, and compared to a big ship, they cost almost nothing. Then they're environmentally friendly because they have batteries and they don't have motor, they don't have any engine. So they are propelled by, for example, wave, or they're propelled by the wind, or just they have a battery that allows them, like the Sea Glider, which is the small yellow torpedo, allows them to use buoyancy and go up and down in the water column. And they can host many sensors that can take a sample also biological material. They can take samples of, they can be analyzed for geophysical environment, for example. And And other things is they're extremely quiet. So there is not even noise pollution because of this. And the next step that we see in this is to integrate these robots, these autonomous vehicles, and make them communicate in real time their findings, and make them communicate with us in the offices. So we will not even need to go out with a boat to try to recover the data from them, but they can analyze the data, look for events and perturbation or any or measurements, and send them directly to us in the offices. This will be the next step, along with processing the data inside this vehicle in real time. And that will connect it to the next step. But here already there is a career opportunity for the future. Engineer in robotics and data scientist. And the next step, even so far, when they collect the data, they collect a gigantic amount of data. And when we have to go through all of it, if we go through all of it manually, we end up like this. So too much data will take forever. So, but there is, again, a possible solution that we are already using in science and we are exploring more and more. And this solution is artificial intelligence. And especially we are trying to use a subset of artificial intelligence, which is machine learning, which means that the automatic detectors, for example, or this artificial intelligence is able to improve itself with large amount of data. Can process enormous amount of data in a relatively short time and can get better and better. It learns. And the next step that we're trying to achieve is also deep learning. So give a gigantic data set to a machine, and by itself the machine will work out how to analyze the data without us even telling it what to do. So should I be happy about that? Extremely. I'm extremely excited, but at the same time, maybe they're coming to take my job. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Luca. You spoke about robotics and the use of artificial intelligence, and you ended quite touchingly, are they going to take your job? Considering the bright young minds that we have with us today, what would be your advice to them as they enter to the professional life? How can they be prepared for this situation?
Well, the best is to get used to how computers work as soon as possible. Try to look into data science, but don't forget about biology and biological answers in case you want to pursue something in biology. And try anyway to don't be too dependent on the machine. This machine can do a lot of jobs that we are not able to, and maybe we will not ever be able to, but if we can know how to program them, and in case something happens to them, how can still proceed, we can thrive together with the machines. So it shouldn't be a complete dependence, should be a symbiosis between us and the machine. But still, that's the future, in my opinion, so it's something to pursue, to go and learn about data science.
So you end on a positive note, there's still room for you and me and us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I hope they are not coming too soon for my job, but it looks like that some jobs, they will take longer. So we still have time to try to survive before Skynet.
Very good. Thank you so much. Our next speaker has a master's degree in business creation and entrepreneurship from the University of Tromsø, the Arctic University of Norway. She moves fast. Right after graduation, she co-founded a startup called Medsensio. This is a health tech startup which uses artificial intelligence in assessing and monitoring breathing. They also work with health data and machine learning. The company develops solutions for assessment and monitoring of chronic lung conditions. Please welcome Anna Dranowska, co-founder of Medsensio.
I already used the antibac. Yeah, so I probably come from a little bit different background than other companies here today, since it's probably is a difference when the company already is established and is trying to be more innovative. In my case, the sole reason for why Medsentio exists is because we are built on an innovation. We are a research-based startup. So we work with machine learning of health data, and more specifically, it's breathing of people who have chronic conditions. Today in the Western world, 1 in 7 elderly suffer from a chronic lung condition, and this is a constantly growing problem which we have to address. For these people, when they have troubles breathing, it can be a very stressful and unpleasant feeling. And they also are the large consumers of the healthcare resources. So in the long term, we need to become more efficient and providing them a more proactive and more efficient care so that we can solve the challenges that come with the healthcare resource utilization, but also how this affects the quality of life of these people. So Medsentio is the story that starts with research and student-based innovation from UIT. We are closely connected to the Tromsø study, known also as Tromsø-undersøkelsen, in which they have collected a large data set of different health data, starting from simple parameters like height and weight to something more specific to lung and heart assessment. In our case, it's lung sounds, and our research group has been working with analyzing this data and looking how this can be used to improve the care of lung conditions. And what they found is that humans, when they are even experienced clinicians and physicians, when they analyze the data, they put a lot of subjective interpretations in it. So they wanted to see how technology could come in and help in more objective and more consistent analysis of data so that we would be able to compare it over time and address the entire issue totally differently. Then Johann Raven, who is my co-founder, and he was doing his master thesis at UIT in computer science and machine learning. He was involved in the project for developing the original algorithms. And this is how the idea started, that maybe there is something commercially interesting in this innovation and maybe we could take it further. So not having any technical background myself, I came in the team when we were looking for potential funding opportunities for this. And basically I joined the team to write an application for funding. So that funding went through, and then we got another one, and today we are where we are. We work with deep learning and machine learning, which is basically all sub-areas of artificial intelligence. And there is a lot of talk about artificial intelligence in health data, but it's actually a major leap from going from research and all the way to a ready deployed product that works. Those data sets that we use in the training and in the research are one of the most unique ones in the world, since we have a connection to a large population data set, but we also strengthen it by adding additional data that we collect from daily testing and from daily environment when there is a lot of interference depending on how the user might affect the product performance and so on. Another jump that we have to take is actually going from innovation itself and from the research results to a fully functional product, which is affected by much more factors coming from some user requirements and performance requirements and a lot of regulatory requirements in the area of medical devices where we work. So we have a working prototype today, which basically looks like a phone app, which we connect with a small device like this, and that together works to record the sounds from person's chest, and we analyze the sounds and present them back in the app. And that is the output that we provide to healthcare professionals to be more supported in the decision-making that they do with the chronically ill patients, to better follow up on their breathing and know when the condition starts changing, that they can interfere early enough and be more proactive. So the prototype we are now testing with many clinical users, and they are getting constant feedback in order to improve the technology and make it more robust. And also we're going through a documentation process on how to actually make sure that everything works well and performs the way it should in the actual operational environment. And since we are an example of medical technologies, there is a lot, it's a long path, it's a lot of steps that we have to go through before we are in the market and before the original research idea becomes something that can be used by users in their everyday. And luckily, there is a lot of support that we can get from, like, for example, public grants. But what we have to be aware of is that in that case, the way we innovate, the way we build our innovation process is very much shaped by the way the grant authorities want us to present it to them so that they consider this idea, this project interesting for taking further. For instance, if you look at any grant application, the three elements that they have are innovation, whether you have something new, you have something innovative to show whether your innovation is standing out among everything else that exists. And even though we come from Tromsø, we are not an example of a typical Arctic innovation, which is also good because it shows that there is a lot more in the Arctic than one potentially might think first, and that there is a much more diversity in the innovative ecosystem. Second one is the impact, that we want to show that this can make an impact in the markets where we want to go and that we can make a difference for the potential stakeholders. In this context, Arctic is a very good test arena for us because, for instance, we have large travel distances to the hospital. We have patients who live very not densely populated in many areas. So we want to test and show how we can deliver the care closer to the patients. And it's a nice test arena for us. But if we want to grow and if we want to become something more, our key goal is to show that the impact can go far beyond the Arctic, that we can show the global potential and that we can have a plan for how we're going to capture this potential. And the third element is the implementation, meaning that it's not just about the idea that everyone thinks they have a unique idea and that they have they are the only ones who maybe came up with this idea and no one else had this idea before. But it's also about the team that is standing behind it, and it's also about whether the team knows how to take it to the next step, how to implement it and to actually become the company who implements it in practice. So I think it's also, for instance, in my case, I don't have any technical background, and you don't need to be the inventor who is the only one standing behind the idea, because it's about the combination of the team who have the unique competences, and they together can come in with unique perspectives on how to turn this innovation into a product that tomorrow will be in the market. So summing up, I think that innovation for a research-based startup is very deeply integrated into everything we do, starting from when we were born to when we are going through each step of this implementation and validation and testing and development and getting it out to the users and to actually implementing and making it adopted by the users tomorrow. So those were my short notes. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. You nicely discussed about being an entrepreneur and a startup in the Arctic, but do you think that we have any comparative advantage being a startup in the Arctic? Or are there any potential setbacks compared to our southern companions?
Well, it depends, of course, on the area or on the industry which you represent as a startup, but you get much more attention in a way. it's not that much competition. If you are a startup somewhere in a very mature and saturated area, then you have to try harder to be noticed. Here you are lifted in a totally different way because there is a network around you who shares their experiences, what they've been through, their network in a much more close and intimate way. And that basically is something that I think is very unique to the Arctic.
Is that lifting done by the public stakeholders or by private sector?
Both ways, I think. It depends what you're looking for. When you're looking for finances, then yeah, of course, you have a lot of support from regional, national, and European authorities who are supporting innovation and giving grants and all of that. But you also have a lot of private sector, meaning our peers, other startups that we work closely with. So even though you're not sort of part of a large organization, you're working in parallel with other companies whom you observe how they develop, which mistakes they make, which good experiences they get out of their development and partnerships and so on. So I think both.
So the sense of community is present in the Arctic, also within the startup field.
I'm not sure if it's absent elsewhere, but it definitely is here.
Thank you. It was great hearing from you, Anna, and we look forward to welcome you back to the stage a little later. Our next speaker is the manager of Northern Area Unit at Equinor, and she will be joining us through screen. Toril Ingarø Utvik has a long background working for Equinor. She has a PhD within the field of environmental chemistry from NTNU in Trondheim, and she is truly an expert. She's got broad background working in positions within research and development, operations, risk management, safety, and sustainability. Currently, she's responsible for addressing scientific knowledge and technology development needs related to cold climate operations. Toril, once we get you on the big screen, you have our attention.
Thank you very much. I don't know if you can see me, but I heard your introduction, so I can start by saying thank you for the invitation. I would like to share my screen, so I'll just check if that is working.
Just a small moment, Toril. Larry and Nathan are working on it.
Okay, yeah.
Now we can see you.
Okay, and hopefully you can see my screen as well.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, fine.
Perfect.
Thank you. I would like to say a few words about the future for Equinor and what kind of opportunities we see for new technology and innovation and new jobs in this sector in the future. I hear a bit of echo, so if you can turn off the sound on the computer, that would have been great. I think we all acknowledge that the climate change is happening, and we have a lot of global issues affecting our operations and also the future of the energy sector. And Equinor is in the transition from being a traditional oil and gas company to being a broad energy company, as most of you probably know. So we see that this new future is also creating a lot of business opportunities, and we would like to be part of these changes and be part of creating the future of energy and being in a leading role for this change. So In January and February 2020, we launched some of the most forward-leaning climate ambitions in the energy industry. These ambitions will bring us up to 2050 and put us in line with the Paris Agreement. So this is a really high ambition for a company, and we have taken this challenge into our company strategy, and we are also doing major changes to the company as a result of this. So I will give some information on this today, but of course, what kind of long-term job opportunities this will create is difficult to say. So we could start with describing our current value chain. We, as an oil and gas company, we have been doing exploration activities, searching for oil and gas for many, many years. This competence is now also being used for identifying wells that can be used for CO2 injection. So that's a field where we are transforming the use of the existing competence. Within development and production, we have been traditionally developing oil and gas projects, building platforms, and also producing oil and gas at many different locations with many different conditions, and that requires a broad set of competences, I would say. This competence is now being used also into development and production of low carbon technologies. As you can see here, that is also now part of our value chain. So we are producing from offshore wind. We are also producing solar energy, and this is now being part of our regular business. Then we have transportation, refining and processing, and marketing and trading. That has been part of our value chain for many years, but are now also being transformed with using the competence that we have within these areas into new value chains and new low carbon technologies. So this is exciting times for a big company. Looking a little bit more into this low carbon energy production, we are working on taking down the absolute emissions of CO2 from our existing operations, but we are also investing now and developing technology within wind, solar, and also within carbon capture and storage and hydrogen. And these are new opportunities where we will need a lot of new competence in the years to come. So where are we? We are about 20,000 people working in Equinor today, and we are present in 34 countries. Norway is, of course, being the most important one and will also be that in the future. When it comes to the new value chains and the new energy solutions, we are currently focusing southern part of Norway. But I think we will see development also further to the north in the years to come. But today we are currently present in northern Norway with traditional oil and gas exploration. So what does the future look like? We think that our solution for energy production in the future will be lighter, more subsea, and more remotely controlled. This is for many reasons, but it's much safer, and it's also close to half compared to conventional solutions when it comes to emissions. So this is important measures to improve our performance within that area as well. So global operations networks are established to optimize performance by connecting operations, knowledge and expertise. And this is one of the areas where we are focusing the use of digital solutions. There are also other areas, but for operations in the north, I think this is one of the really key areas when it comes to future competence. I think I'll stop there. I'll show a short video at the end about what's in it for you when it comes to come and work with Equinor in the future. But hopefully you will get the zone on this as well.
Our planet is facing some huge challenges, and we're working on new ways to solve them. There are no simple answers, but by investing more in wind and solar, reducing emissions from our oil and gas production, and speeding the transition to a low-carbon world, we can feed the planet's appetite for energy more sustainably. We're already making big investments in research and technology, but that alone won't be enough. To change the energy systems of the planet, we need the energy of people like you. People who challenge us and ask tough questions. Creative thinkers who spark off each other. Natural collaborators inside our industry and outside it. Defenders of difference. Champions of equality. Designers, data gurus, builders, climbers, dreamers, all joining forces to build a better, smarter tomorrow. And it's not just the future of energy we want to shape, it's your future too. The rewards are there for everyone. Be someone you didn't know you could be. Be there for those who matter most. Be open to radical new opportunities. Join over 20,000 people working together to make a difference. From Norway to Norfolk, Algeria to Argentina. Be the energy behind the energy.
Okay, I think I'll stop my presentation there.
Thank you very much, Toril. I hope you can hear me. Now, Toril, can you nod if you can hear me?
No, I can hear you. Yeah.
Very good. You have an impressive career working within the energy industry. And as you said, Equinor is now going through a major transformation into an energy company in a broad sense. You, as a unit manager and as a team leader, how do you work to ensure that you and your team are able to constantly remain innovative in this changing landscape?
Well, that's a really tough question, and I think there are many good initiatives ongoing in the company. I think upskilling on the digital solutions is one of the key areas that we are working on, and that goes for all employees. Because we need all employees to see and to look for opportunities in using new tools and digital solutions. And that goes into the different areas where each person have the competence. And by doing this, we really get a lot of new ideas up on the table. Some of them are taken forward and some of them are not. But this way of increasing the competence and also getting new ideas up on the table has really been of importance. Then I think also being open for changes, for new ways of working has been really important, and that goes also across the company. We are challenged to be open to changes and also look into the opportunities that comes with new ways of working. So by that, I think even us that has been around for some years into this work are able to see new opportunities and also able to work in different ways. But I think the examples that were shown by the previous presenters here are demonstrating that the new generation with new competences are really of importance when we are going into new times and meet these new challenges.
So basically it's about lifelong learning. But during your career, you must have also been through quite a bit of changes, and you mentioned openness to changes. Are you able to share with us what might be maybe the most transformational change that you've been through so far during your career?
Oh, that's another tough question. I'm not sure if I'm able to take that one directly. I would say that for us, being through several mergers of companies, that has really been eye-openers for new ways of working, because you meet people that are used to work in different ways. And I would say that the merger between Norsk Hydro, where I come from, with Statoil in 2007 was one of these really major changes that we went through. But I think the outcome of such a process was really improved performance in many ways. So being open to new ways of working, learning from others, and also taking on board new technologies is really of importance. So being curious about future opportunities, I think, is one of the key areas here.
Thank you very much, Toril, for sharing that with us. And thank you for joining us. I do hope that we're able to get you on the screen during the discussion part as well.
Yep.
Now,
thank you.
Moving forward to our fourth speaker for today. She is Teresa Christiansen, Human Resources Manager at Ksat, Kongsberg Satellite Services, Tromsø's pride. Ksat offers commercial satellite services to both public and commercial users. They have over 20 sites worldwide, with over 200 remotely controlled antennas, providing data and Earth observation services. Today, most of what's going on the globe is caught by a satellite, and that data is quite likely transferred to Ksat. Ksat contributes to monitoring the environment and securing sustainable ecosystem for life on land and at sea. And we're very pleased to have Teresa with us today. She is originally from Tromsø, has a master in business management from UiT, and before joining Ksat, she has held different positions within the hospitality industry. Teresa, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Hey, so nice seeing you all, and thank you so much for coming here. My name is Teresa Christiansen, and it was a really nice introduction. Some of the information I wanted to tell you, so probably she'd really done a good job before I came up here. Yes, I've been working for Ksat for 2 years, and my background is economics. So going into Ksat, it was kind of going into a different world. High technological, all the people was really expert of what they were doing, and they were doing space. And I just remember that I used almost the 2 years I've been working there, because my passion and what brought me to Ksat was that I really wanted to work with people. And that's my position. I work with HR, and we are in a good growth. So this year I think I've been around 50 persons that I've been taking into the companies. So what I really use my time to, just to understand how big it was. I didn't know. I'm from Tromsø. I've been living here all my life. I really I know about a lot of company, but I didn't know that Ksat was so important for the world. Why didn't I know that? We are here in the middle of the Arctic. We are here in the middle of Tromsø, on the top of this island. And why didn't I know that almost every company in the world who was doing space looked to Ksat? That Ksat was delivering things for them. Why didn't I know? So I think that one of my mission is just to tell a little bit more about Ksat and what we see of opportunity in the future. But as well, I think the mission is that we have succeeded in an industry that I don't think that so many people of north of Norway know that we are a big part of. So I will try my best to just tell a little bit more about that. So, first of all, Ksat have been here in Tromsø for over 50 years. 50 years with excellence. And it was starting here. We have our main office here in Tromsø. And today we are around 215 people. So Tromsø was the best location for what we are doing. We are delivering data from satellites to satellite owner all through the world. So 93% of our customers is not in Norway. They are all spread over the world. And the 7% that are in Norway, none of them are in Tromsø. But the location of the Arctic is so perfect for talking to satellites, because we are talking to satellites in low orbits every day. So that's mainly one of the things that we are doing. So 250 people, head office here in Tromsø. We have offices as well at Svalbard, Oslo, Stockholm, and US. Mainly in Oslo, Stockholm, and US, it's sales office. But we see that this increase as well. So in the future, perhaps we are going to have more people who is doing some of the main things that we are delivering. It's not by accident that Svalbard was one of the most important milestones for Ksat. Tromsø was first with the ground station who was talking to the satellite, and then came Svalbard. It was a collaboration with NASA to get up the first antenna, and today we have around 100 antennas up in the mountain in the Arctic, and the location is the important part of it. So, in Tromsø, what is really nice with Ksat is that we have the whole chain of people inside the organization. So that means that we are now growing a lot. And for our sake, what we have found who is the most important for our future is the people who are the students, and a lot of the students who will go at this university. That's because if we are going to, in the future, try to maintain our position, and if we are going to deliver new services for the world, we have to make sure that we are on the top of our game, because the technology is just changing so fast. So it's really important for us. So, like I said, it started with Tromsø. It went to Svalbard, and from there we have today over 20 ground stations all around the world. And about opportunities, we started with something that we call old space. Old space is the big companies like NASA and ESA. When they were taking satellites up to space, it was really big like buses. What we see today is the new space area. We have people around the world, young people, who is just hanging around and making their own satellite. And this satellite they want to send up to space to deliver a service of one and a kind. So the last 5 years, we started a new position in Ksat. They were starting 3 people to trying to find out how can we serve the new space market. So from being expert on big space, old space, we have to find new solutions. We have to be the pioneer. We have to try to think different. And Ksat have, over the 50 years working, have just trying to like change, be curious. What is the next step? And the same we did when we go into the new space. So today, for 4 years, I think that we had around 3 customers in new space, and we just see it explode. Today, we have over 30, soon 40 different companies who is going to work with the new space area. So it's really important. At the same time, we see that the last month, it was a really special month because many big things was happening at the same times. Like we announced our partnership with Microsoft. This one is for making sure that data will be more available for people. And the same month, we announced that we are we are going to, with the Minister of Climate and Environment, announce that Ksat with Airbus and Planet is going to deliver high solutional data to make sure that we are going to make sure that the forest will not all over the world will not be gone. So it's kind of important. And I think that we are really interested in the students. And since we are not only having the engineers, many of our people are engineers, but it's really different. It's all from the computer science to the people who is building the antennas, making sure that the antennas work when they should, as well as sales, marketing, all of different types we have inside of Ksat. That means that in the future we are looking for many different people with different sign and different background. And as well, almost everything I hear today, I think that to succeed in the future, I think that we have to be curious. We have to try to find new solutions. I think that we have to try to make sure that we learn the new stuff. But at the same time, we know that the people of the North and the people of Ksat is the most important part of succeeding with all the goals we are setting for the future. So, today it was announced that we are trying to get the National Center for Space Technology in Tromsø. This is not set. Today, I think the center is in Oslo. But today we have over 500 people who is working with space in Tromsø. And together they are delivering income for 1.5 billion. Ksat alone have 215 people. The next year we are making sure that we have a new building for 4,800 square meters because we know that we are going to be bigger. So the opportunities of making this a real thing, getting the space industry here, will also be a great deal for the Arctic, and it will be really important for having the future and to make sure that we make new opportunities. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Teresa. Now, if I heard you correctly backstage, you said you've recruited 50 people this year.
Yes, I have.
And you have a highly international working environment. What is it that attracts people to Tromsø and to the Arctic?
Oh, that's a good one. Many of the people we recruit, some of them know us through the space industry, because I thought that the industry was really big. But if you see on the world, the space industry is not that big. Like Ksat, for instance, is a big part of the world-leading industry. So many of the people we recruit from international parts, they are known by the space industry already. But as well, we see some from south of Norway. We have to do really good interview to make sure that they understand what will it mean to come up here. One thing is like being excited about the company or really like having this opportunity. But we know to succeed, we have to sell all of the north of Norway. It's all about Tromsø as a city. Many people don't believe that we have restaurants or that we have cinema and all of that. So we use a lot of time just talk about it's a lot you can do here. It's an environment, it's people, and it's warm.
So basically, you're not just selling your company, you're also selling Tromsø.
Yes.
But you have a unique story yourself. You are what we call Tromsøværing, a person who originates here, and you have decided to stay. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
My heart beats for north of Norway. I've been growing up here, but as I mentioned, I've been living some year in Oslo, and I loved it. I really loved it. I like the big city and the opportunities there as well. But when growing up, for me, family and friends is important. But I saw also the opportunity. I think as a young person, you sometimes don't think that you can do exciting things. And a young person being a student, sometimes you don't know, what can I do? You just, economics, I will be in a bank. No, you can do a lot. It's so many opportunities here. And I think that we have to be better talking about it. Because it's a lot you can do more than just working in a bank if you are having economic as your background.
Therefore, it's especially inspiring having you here today. Thank you so much for joining us, Teresa, and we look forward to welcoming you back on stage in a while.
Thank you.
Next on the program, we have a student profile. Is Aquaplan is a PhD student at the School of Business and Economics at UIT. His research is on sustainable business models with a focus on carbon capture and storage, as well as its associated innovations. Ukeje will provide us with a student perspective regarding what UIT offers in the field of business innovation. Welcome, the floor is yours.
Hi guys, hope you're all doing well. Yeah, I'm here to talk about how the School of Business and Economics fosters innovation in the Arctic. And I'm going to give you my perspective as both a student and currently a researcher there. I am from Nigeria. I came to Tromsø in 2015. And I did my master program in business creation and entrepreneurship. So I was actually in the same class with Anna right here. At the moment, I'm doing my PhD in innovation and entrepreneurship. So there's this wonderful quote that goes, creativity is about thinking up new things, while innovation is doing new things. At the School of Business and Economics, in addition to bringing avenues for people to actually be creative and think of new things, we also give them avenues to do these things. So, let me just give you a bit of my experience about being a student at the School of Business and Economics. While doing my business and creation program, we were put in touch with different methods of actually innovating and actually being creative. My background is from engineering. I did my bachelor in engineering in Ghana. And I came from this world where everything is kind of logical, you know, it's formulas. And you have to, you know, of course, you're dealing with human life, so everything has to be set in stone. And in the program of business creation and entrepreneurship, we were encouraged to, you know, think outside the box, do something. There's no wrong ideas, as one of our lecturers would say. Just get your creativity out there. And at first it was quite surprising because for 4 years of my life doing my bachelor, I was used to just doing something in a box, you know. And now I'm here, I have to think outside the box. But I got through that, and I'm really grateful for that experience. Now in my PhD, I'm trying to understand how carbon dioxide can be used as a valuable resource. So currently, there's a lot of talk about carbon dioxide. We put it out in the air, we're trying to get it back, we're trying to store it, we're trying to stop using it. And in my case, we're trying to see how we can use it. So in my field of research or in my work, it's a project where I'm working with a company up here in the north called Finnfjord. And what we do is, or what the project is trying to do is capture industrial carbon dioxide, use it as a feedstock to grow algae, and then find some value in this marine biomass algae, either as fish feed or something else. So that's what I'm kind of trying to do. And I came across this also where they said innovation happens when people are free to think, experiment, and speculate. And that's what I do every day. I try to think, how can this carbon dioxide actually provide value? The biologists and the philosophers in my research group try to experiment. Okay, what is going on here? And we try to speculate, okay, do we have to keep using this carbon dioxide? Do we have to live with this? Or is there something else? So back at the business school, we try to do something where we bridge the gap. And at the business school, it's important for our students to gain experience on how innovation works. Back in my master program, while working on my master thesis, I was actually put in touch with a company in Tromsø, where we tried to develop a business model for them. So we tried to develop a business plan, try to see what is the idea really, and try to see how this business plan can be put out in society. This is also what we do in other courses at the business school. Currently, the business school is spread across 4 campuses, Tromsø, Alta, Narvik, and Harstad. And we don't just do something within innovation. We offer different bachelor degrees, master degree programs, and 1-year studies. And those are for potential students here. But if you're already, or if you're done studying, we also have avenues where you can come and you can develop your idea. We do this by creating partnerships. We have something called the idea generator, where if you have a business idea, you can just come and then you explain it to them. It's kind of like you can be consulted on how you can develop your idea to take it further. Anna's project was actually, Anna's current project is actually a spin-off from the university, and she's currently providing her expertise as a business school student to the industry. We have a popular HHT Dagen, where our students are put in touch with popular business people from the society to kind of inspire them, as well as set some kind of mentorship for them. We have currently, that's the one on the extreme left. They're trying to set up an entrepreneurship school for people outside the university community. And we have the Business Life Summit, and we provide our students with everything they could need. But we don't just do this for our students. There's quite a lot of talk in the news that the university isn't doing much for business or the industry outside the university. But for companies, I would like to let them know that the university is actually a resource they can use. We have this thing called Naring's Leaf Mentor, which are business mentors, which the businesses can actually get in touch with if they need resources from the universities, whether it's scientists, people who develop their business models or business plans, or just consulting in general. And that's not just for businesses. Even if you're a regular person here who has an idea in your head, you're an inventor, you're somebody who is thinking of something, you're creative, come. You know, it's an open atmosphere. You can partner with students at the business school, you can partner with consultants at the business school, or researchers such as myself. Come, and then you find out that this is a resource you can actually use. Yes, so that's what I have, and I encourage everyone here with an idea in their mind, their head, or their heart to just come down. You know, we have things we can give to you. Thank you.
Thank you. You touched upon the partnerships and the different avenues for partnerships, and you also touched upon something that's very close to my heart, meaning closer collaboration between the world of business and academia. You indicated that the doors are open, but how can we in practice facilitate that and systematize breaking down those silos?
Okay, yeah, it's a big discussion on how to actually bridge the gap between industry and the university. But now the university has set up something which they call the Business Life Mentor. It's a program. It started earlier this year, I think, which should help to bridge this gap. So this is something that businesses should use. You know, we have, I think, and this is in all the campuses, not just Tromsø, because there's business activities going on in other places, Alta, Hammerfest, Finnmark. And based on your industry, there's a business mentor for you. Yes.
Okay, so that's one concrete example of how we can move forward. Thank you so much for joining us, Ukeje.
Yes, thank you.
Now, I'd like to invite all of our previous speakers back to the stage, and I do hope that we're also able to get Toril back on the screen. And as you enter the stage, I kindly remind you of the current hygienic measures. Please use the antibacterial. Great. Toril, we can see you. I hope you can hear us. Wonderful having you back. Very good. Now, we've heard a lot about technology today. We've heard that it's something that is essential. It's probably also an advantage. But thinking about our audience today, which level of tech expertise should they have as they enter the work life? And here I'm especially interested in a broad perspective from your different fields.
Well, I don't think that's the most necessary thing to have. The most necessary, as was mentioned today, is to be curious enough about trying out things. And you will definitely find someone who has an extremely good technical expertise, but who doesn't have expertise in business development and marketing and general product development. And that's where you can come in. So I don't think that the background is any challenge or any either a benefit or a disadvantage, because good ideas and developing innovative technologies requires people of all backgrounds.
Agree. It's more about having the motivation to want to achieve something or want to find out something, and as well, when you are working, come to work and do the work. So it's not that much about what you have been doing at school. It can be good for some of the position, but at the same time, it's more important about being the team. Because like in our company, the team is the most important thing. We have experts, we have people who is really, really good on different things, but wasn't it not for the team, we will never succeed. That's the criteria to innovate and try and find new solution for the future.
High, very high expertise. I'm in my 30s and I see the new generation in their 20s that are at a level much higher than where I am. So yes, it's getting more competitive in science. So I recommend to build up some expertise to enter the field.
Toril, you wanted to jump in as well. Unfortunately.
But I think if you ask about what kind of expertise we will need in the future, I would say that cross-sectoral competence is very important. We see that a lot of very specific competence and tasks can be automated, but the broad cross-sectoral competence is very difficult to automate. So I would say that having a broad spectrum of competences and seeing synergies across is very important for the future generation of students coming up.
So that cross-sectoral competence also goes on the individual level?
Yeah, I think so. I think we see that having more than one set of skills is very important. And also being able to see new applications for the competence is very important.
Thank you.
Yeah, in my perspective, it's not just about the technical knowledge, but as she said, it's a cross competence. In my research group, we are made up of people like me from the business school, marine biologists, philosophers, and computer scientists, and chemists. So this thing is what makes up the whole team. And I also noticed that that's what's happened in industry. It's about the team, not just one person. Well, it's also important to know what the others are doing. Another example is from my research group. We have workshops where we try to explain something from the other perspective. And even though you don't have an idea of what it is to be a chemist or a marine biologist, you get to understand, okay, this is how a chemist think like. I'm not a chemist, but I could think like them if it comes to that.
So one thing that really came up both during your presentations and now is the factor of building a team. And here I would like you to elaborate a little bit, both from a perspective of a startup, but also from a larger corporate perspective. But before I let you loose, I have an announcement to the audience. I plan on opening for questions and answers from the floor. So please start preparing your questions. I would like you to keep those brief. I will hand over the microphone after this round. Please come close to the stage, present yourself, and pose your questions. You have a unique opportunity to pick the brains of these specialists. But before that, a little round of your expertise regarding building teams. How do you go about? Is it just a random process, or did you, Anna, for example, start looking for specific knowledge?
In my own case, I was actually just picked up and put into the team. But I'd like to reflect on when I was doing my master's study. one of the lecturers or one of the professors told me that it's actually important to be open, especially if you have an idea. You might think, okay, if I tell this person my idea, are they going to steal it? If I meet her at a bar and I have an idea to talk about, you have to be open to talk about this thing without the fear of your idea being stolen. Because that's how you make partnerships. That's how, is a computer scientist, your partner, yeah? For instance, a computer scientist from town can meet a business person to get their idea to the next level.
I agree. And sometimes also we instead actively select and focus on what expertise we want to bring up in the group. For example, the environment is such a complex system that biology itself needs physics, chemistry, biochemistry, meteorology. So if we have a question, if we see that we are stuck, we can reach out. But it happens also randomly, where we hear ideas, as we were saying. And then we like the ideas, we see that these ideas can push us forwards, so we incubate and bring in people in.
And I think if you have an environment when you're open for ideas, you know, when people can come and tell their ideas and are taken serious, you can do really, really cool stuff. It's when you think that you cannot talk about your idea, you keep it to yourself and, oh, that's not that good. Just try to open up for the team and for the place you're working to be open for new ideas, because it's the new ideas who is making excellence. So, and also I think one thing who is important for our team, the big Ksat team, is that people is not afraid of doing mistakes. You can do mistakes. Probably you should learn from your mistake in the future, but you can do mistakes, so it's not that risky trying to do something new. So if we are open for ideas and at the same time not that afraid of doing the wrong decisions, and I think the environment will be really inspiring for innovation, for doing and making great things.
From the startup point of view, going back to the growing aspect, how we grow in the team, before we can get any people in the team, there is a lot of growing that we have to do by ourselves. When we are, for instance, a team of 3 people, and you have to cover many, many different roles, and your hats are changing many times throughout the day, and you never feel like you are an expert in anything because you have to do a lot of different things, and because there is no one else in the company to do that instead. There is probably a person somewhere outside of the company who is really good at that, but here and now you're the one who has to do the job, and you just have to learn how to do it. If you've never done it and no one else in the team has ever done it, then it's just something that you have to do. And then now, as we see that we have a roadmap and we have a plan how we're going to get our innovation, our product out in the market, tested, validated with partners and all of that. And as the complexity of the task starts growing and we see that we're going to do more clinical validations and we're going to do some additional developments in the AI area, and we're going to also try to find more partners, those areas start sort of getting more and more, and you see that you can't cover all of that expertise by yourself, either because you don't have it or because you simply don't have time for it. Then you try to find the resources, and that's another fun aspect of it, when you try to find actually resources that you're able to grow, that you're able to invite new people. So if you have the funds then for it, that's a luxury situation on one place, because like we don't always have the clear outlook that we have the money to finance our jobs for the next 3 years, let's say. But then you sort of try to involve new people in the company based on those areas where you see you need to grow and where you need to get more specific expertise and more time for it.
So how do you manage to remain innovative in a situation like that when you are jammed in terms of the work that needs to be done and low on resources?
But that's sort of the innovation in itself. You kind of have to you have to apply it. There's a lot of innovation on every step of the way. You have something new, that the technology that no one has ever done before, that it means that no one has ever taken it to market before. And then every step of the way, there is some sort of new and exciting to it.
So it's forced innovation in a way.
Yeah.
Tore, did you want to add on this discussion before we open the floor for questions?
Well, I think sharing data was mentioned here, and I think from our perspective, we promote education and collaboration and innovation through sharing of data to a much larger extent now than we did before. So that is one way of stimulating innovation and building the necessary competence. So I think that is one perspective that could be mentioned.
So sharing data inside the company and also across different themes.
Yeah, across and also outside. I think that's the new approach that we have seen from our industry now, is that a lot of the competence is outside the company, and we need to share data to be able to gain competence back. So we share much more data externally than we did before.
So you're loosening up on the company secrets.
Yeah, we are.
We appreciate that. Now, I would like to encourage our participants to step forward. Questions, a unique opportunity to pick the praise. Please present yourself first.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Larry Ibrahim, also again, a coordinator for Arctic Frontiers Young. So for some of us who are internationals, and I'm sure there are a lot more watching from the streaming online, there's the idea that, the Arctic is rugged, it's tough, and challenges and also probably opportunities are limited. But for internationals, it's even more difficult to break through. I would like to pick your thought on what advice or probably what suggestions do you have for internationals who want to make the Arctic their home? Yeah.
Good question. You have like at least 3 internationals sitting here in the discussion. So I guess there are good chances getting internationals in the Arctic. And when you are in the Arctic as an international working with innovation, I guess there isn't much time for you to notice whether you're in the Arctic or in the Caribbean. But maybe some other have more comments on this?
If I understood, for our sake, many of the people, international skilled people who comes to Tromsø or Svalbard, they have a really high motivation to come to the Arctic. Because many times it's different, the culture is different, the environment where they are living before is different. So many have motivation and also a dream of coming up here. But we have to make sure that they really understand what it means about the dark season, about the sun all summer long, about the importance of trying to learn Norwegian, to have new friends outside work and everything. So, but I really feel that they are really motivating to try to be a part of the culture. And as well, they really give us new perspective about how doing business and new ideas. So it's really nice because we get more different people inside, and more different people are more good ideas. So it's really nice for all of us.
Yes, I agree. And it's always a trade-off. Some things you have to leave where you come from, some things you bring up, and some things you assimilate from the country you are in. But no, the Arctic is fertile, even if it doesn't look like it with snow, but it's very fertile. So through hard working and perseverance, there is a lot of opportunities for international people. And yeah, as we said, we are examples here.
Yeah, motivation is one thing that brings us here. But another side is actually the realization that it might be different from what you thought when you were coming here or when you were in the plane. As human beings, as social animals, we need to see other people for mental health. And I also noticed in the Arctic, for your physical health, you also need to see other people, because otherwise you can be at home and be like, oh, it's too cold. I don't think I want to go out to jog today. But if you have a friend who is like, you do this, you're a bit more motivated to do that. So if you're an international, my advice to you would be to, first of all, check if there's a local community for you here, either via your nationality or just interest groups. I'm Nigerian, and here we have a Nigerian community, which I'm very happy for. And this helps me understand, okay, there's different people around here who also think like I do, you know, because your thinking is based on your upbringing, your social atmosphere, growing up. And at first, when you come to Norway, you probably think, oh, people are thinking a bit different from me. But when you find that community, that would be nice. And also interest groups, you know. If you do some sports, we still do sports here. I love to ski. Of course, in Nigeria, we don't go to ski. But that's something you can also pick up, you know. Pick up things from the community here too. Yeah.
That sounds like good integration. Toril, you have been working internationally in a large corporation. Do you have any best practices to share in terms of integration of international workforce?
Well, I think having an open mind and being curious is one of the most important things. But of course, having respect also for other ways of doing things is really of importance. I don't think there is one solution or one solution that fits all. I think being adaptive is key. And we have been working across the Arctic region for many years and working within the regulatory regimes of Norway, of Russia, of Canada. And of course, these are quite different, and there are challenges related to how you operate. But again, when you meet people and discuss the risks and discuss how to solve these challenges, it very often turns out that the competence is as high on the other side of the table as it is on our side. So having this open mind and being curious about other people's background and competence and way of doing things is really important, I think.
Thank you. Very smart words. Final opportunity to pose a question. Please come forward. There's some antibacterial there first before I hand over the mic.
Hello, my name's Allie. I actually don't come from a technical background. I work mostly in the social aspect of business in the past. And so, well, Teresa, you might be the one that would answer this the most, but I would still be interested in the different sectors. I'm curious about the business culture here in Northern Norway in terms of team building, consulting, coaching around talent management, and what is the culture in business in Northern Norway like, and is there a lot of space for that type of work in your sectors?
Good question. Thank you. I cannot talk for all the company and all the organization in north of Norway because it's so many. For our sake, the people have always been the most important part of what we are doing. We succeed because of them, and we really like to be together. We have many areas where we meet and do social things as well, and it's really important. Many of our people work a lot. They are traveling around the world, not now since the COVID-19, but many of them are all around the world all the time. So we really try to find meeting places when they are home to just be together. So it's important. And for Ksat's culture, we are proud of keeping this, that we have done it since. It's just 5 years ago we were 115 people, now we are 250, and we still try to have the culture that we are drinking a lot of coffee, having a lot of party, doing sport together, going for a tea or a beer or anything. So for our sake, the culture is really important to stay together. It's when we are together just at work or social, often the magic is happening. Oh, I have a crazy idea. Why? If we are just building this, could we do that? And then it's just spin off. So many of the things that we have done now in the future comes from people meeting. So for our sake, really important.
So since you have a lot of experience from business, I'm coming from academia, but I have a question for you. And I'll give you a bit of a background, because I met someone who, he said he had a very good idea, an international, but he was really scared of approaching the local community, people with big names, just because he couldn't speak the language. So in the business community, how important is it for someone to speak Norwegian? Is it something which, you know, it's really strong, or is it is that fear not valid in a way?
At the same time, I cannot talk for all companies. I've been working for different companies, and the Norwegian have been really crucial to be a part of the environment in the company. I think we are changing because many are getting more to the international stage. But for our sake, English is our main language. We have many people who is talking English who do not speak Norwegian. Some speak a little, some speak more, and some have learned Norwegian all through. But so many of the things that is happening in English, and our customers are, sometimes I'm from north of Norway, and sometimes I can struggle finding the word, but many of our customers have better English than we have. So we are used to making sure that we can do great ideas together. If you are from Asia or from Africa or from America, it's the same. So the language, no, I wouldn't say that it's important that you have to speak Norwegian to have good ideas. Not at all.
What is the working language at Equinor, Toril?
I think around the business culture, I think what's most visible to people coming into our offices is probably the safety culture, which is a very strong common culture across the whole company. But we also have a very clear policy on diversity, on inclusiveness and collaboration across the company. And I hope that this is visible wherever you go and meet both people from Equinor and also entering into the different office locations. So this is a very important area for us, and we have set clear targets on, for example, diversity, because we see that this is one of the challenges that we need to improve on going forward. So I think this is a really important area for our future employees, that we are creating one common culture in the company, and it's and that both the diversity and the inclusiveness and collaboration are visible in that culture.
Thank you. I see that food is served, so we are about to wrap up. So you will get the mic in a minute, but I would just like to introduce the final question with which I would like you to close. What is the one thing that you did not know when you were a newly graduate that you would have liked that younger version of yourself to have known about working life?
Okay, I can start to be better with finances, because in science, natural science, we are also doing a lot of business, especially in private companies. We have to be careful with how we use the money and how allocate them and all these things. But I wanted to come back to 1 second to the question asked before. Did you ask also about company investing on people? Yes, because I think that depends a lot. I think in general they invest, but it depends also on the company. If it's a small and medium company, enterprise, probably depending on the financial market, like with crisis, maybe they will invest a bit less because they can be struggling. Of course, a bigger company with bigger reserve of fundings and money, maybe they can invest more. But it depends a lot per company to company.
I think I would have told myself that going into academia is not as easy as I thought it would be, with the pressure of trying to get things published, trying to understand your research. Yeah, I think I would have told myself to expect those things, because it's only when you come in that you actually find out that, okay, it's not as easy as, you thought it was. You thought people just wrote things and it goes, but writing these things actually involves creativity, innovation, and also the timelines involved with the whole process.
Yeah, good question. I think me as a person is kind of positive, so I think that thing will be good in the end. But I think that I wanted to know that motivation, also what drives me, what do I want to do, and what makes me happy, that I could use that drive to select what I wanted to do. Because doing good choices of which job you can get after you are finished studying, yeah, that's good, but at the same time you use so much time at work. You are going to use many hours there, so try to select the things that makes you happy, the things that you find interesting, the things that you want to learn more about, because I think that you will have a really better life and really succeed more in that choices, instead of just doing what you're expected to do or what you expect of yourself. So that's probably my advice. Yeah, and at the same time, the skills, just try to learn more as time comes. You learn something, but at the same time you can change. You can find more good classes. You can do more education after times pass by, because the industry is so changing. So you have to make sure that you learn the new stuff, that you are open and curious. So those two.
I could probably add on to motivation, because I think that there is another element here that is not less important. Sort of when you're starting after just your university studies, you have no idea what can you be motivated about. You look into this little window of opportunities and you think that this is what it is. But there is so much more around it. And then you try different things and you figure out that you actually can like much more than what you originally thought. And through the past 3 years, I've been through an amazingly interesting journey, which wasn't always fun and motivating. Then I think the important part is to be disciplined, because you will never be motivated every single day of your life, but you need to learn, to grow to learn the things that you do in a way that it sort of keeps you going and making every single next step, even though you don't feel motivated at times, because no one of us ever does. So then it doesn't mean that sort of you can't choose the things only that you think you like. You gotta choose the thing and then learn about it and be curious, and you will definitely find something where you can be motivated and be disciplined about it.
Words of great wisdom and realism as well. Toril, what would you like the younger version of yourself to know?
I think very much is said. I think being open for new opportunities, be even more brave on taking on new challenges, and never to stop learning. I think that is something that I didn't realize until I reached at least 40, that you never stop learning, and being even more engaged in learning activities and continue to develop. I think that's one of the most important things to do.
Those are great concluding remarks. With that, I would like to thank Driv, UIT, our young coordinator Larry, and first and foremost all of you for joining us today. Thank you, enjoy the food and have a great evening.
Thank you.